And welcome back to the Hot Lap. Coming up, Red Bull are back. FP1 and 2 reports Hamilton struggling, and the FIA admit that Verstappen should have been penalised. But get this, Max Verstappen thinks if you are bored with the Red Bull domination, you are not a real fan. I mean, here's the quote here, there, as you can see on your screen. The actual quote is, honestly, I have zero interest in that when talking about, obviously, the last weekend and the issues they had. And he said, for me, it was, we just got beaten in a very clear way. I don't think about what is good for Formula One. I don't think it's necessarily bad what was happening to Formula One, because we were just better than everyone else. And if people can't appreciate that, then you're not a real fan. And he went on to say, but that's how it goes. That's why I was also super relaxed about it, because we didn't perform and other people did a better job than us. They, of course, deserve to win. They shouldn't win because people say it's boring that we are winning. I mean, I guess you could misquote that, but essentially if what he means is it's boring, I'm winning all the time. If it's boring, sorry, if you don't enjoy it, you're not a real F1 fan. If that's the kind of way he's coming from, I guess, Max, the issue is there are many F1 fans who were fans even before you were a twinkle in Jos Verstappen's eye. And I can't help but feel that maybe he should be rein himself back of quotes like that. But this is also, to be fair, one of the reasons why lots of people really, really like Max Verstappen, because he says what he's thinking. And for that, I can't really argue with that. Fair play to him then, if that's the case. But talking about Max Verstappen, talking about the Japanese Grand Prix. Wow, I mean, Red Bull are absolutely dominating, aren't they? I mean, my gosh, they were so fast in FP1, or Max was anyway. Sergio Perez, maybe not so much. But as we know, left to digest, this is from Planet F1, what was a wretched Singapore Grand Prix weekend. Verstappen emphatically answered the question in Japan as to whether that was a one-off. Now, on a muggy afternoon, What the hell is a muggy? On a muggy afternoon at the Suzuka circuit, the drivers hit the track on a mix of compounds. As we know, if you were watching practice, Pirelli had their test tyres, and no one really knows that. I don't think they give away what kind of compounds they are. But Max Verstappen, yes, in control from almost the early off. There was an early problem, a tear-off stuck on the side of his car, but that didn't stop him as he laid down a 1:31.3 to go fastest of all on the soft tyres. Now, it's an interesting move and maybe a sign of their confidence that Verstappen and Red Bull were pretty much immediately on those softs. And if we look at FP1 and FP2, as you can see here, 0.6 of a second faster than Carlos Sainz. Lando Norris, though, in FP1, looking good for the McLaren, just 0.7 off. So if you take away Max Verstappen, once again, it is very close. I can't help but feel, though, that Ferrari, overall, are they looking like the second best car here? I mean, we'll get into our FP2 because Mercedes are really, really struggling. I mean, Piastri is 7th, about a second off, but only a car, less than 0.3 off. Well, just about over 0.3, sorry, off his teammate Albon 8th. And you have to go back all the way to 13th to see George Russell and the Mercedes 1.6 down. Albeit, I do believe they stayed on the mediums though for FP1, but FP2 wasn't that much better really for them, if I'm honest. Lewis Hamilton down in 16th for the other Mercedes, 2 seconds down. I mean, Hulkenberg, Bottas, Kevin Magnussen joining in the late teens, Sargent and Zout towards the back. Kind of expected that, really. But when you look at the top 10, even Lance Stroll, got into the top 10 after his Singapore woes. Albeit, he's just shy of 0.4 off Fernando Alonso, which is not too bad. And Albon, as I mentioned, in the top 10, which is really good for Williams. Yuki Tsunoda at his home Grand Prix 5th, just 9/10 of Max Verstappen. He should be really happy with that. And Liam Lawson about 4/10 off his teammate, but just making it into the top 10 in 9th. But if we look at free practice numero 2, once again, Max Verstappen is fastest, but he is not as dominant. He's only 3/10 off Charles Leclerc. Once again, Lando Norris found a bit of time, but about a tenth, just over a 10th off Charles Leclerc, and Carlos Sainz in 4th. Is Ferrari back? Well, they are from Singapore, but is Ferrari in the guise of Charles Leclerc back? Because he's looking really, really fast here. George Russell did make it into that top 5, just 6/10 off Max Verstappen, which he's got to be happy with. Obviously, Alonso and Albon and Piastri in that top 10. Sergio Perez 1 second off. But also, if we look at Perez in free practice 1, he's 1.3 seconds off, nearly 1.4 seconds off Max Verstappen. And in free practice 2, 9th, 1 second off his teammate. This is what I don't get. I do not think that Perez is a second slower than Verstappen. Half a second around here, maybe, but 1 second. I mean, either Max is the best in the world, which he may well be, and I can't see Sergio Perez being that much slow. There must be other things going on there, because, for example, Lance Stroll, I guess I don't really rate him that much against Fernando Alonso, but there's only 2/10 between them. So it just befuddles me, for example. But you have to go all the way back to 14th to see poor old Lewis Hamilton. And speaking of Lewis Hamilton, he's speaking here. Look, I mean, there he is in the Mercedes, and he said he's felt a lack of confidence in the W14 after finishing, funnily enough, 14th, like his namesake, in that second practice session. Yes, the 7-time world champion looked at odds with the Mercedes car of late, with the two parties seemingly going back and forth on what they want from the W50 next year's car. But there are still 7 races left to go this season, and judging on the Friday, Hamilton could be in for a very tough time. The British finished P16 in the first session of the day before improving to 14th for FP2, but that will be far away from what I think most would expect. Now, speaking after the second session, Hamilton said he felt a lack of confidence, which contributed to his struggles. It was a very challenging day for us out there, he said. I had a lack of confidence in the car, which contributed to our struggles. He went on to say it was difficult to find the right balance, and we didn't manage to get on top of it by the end of FP2. The tyres were overheating, and that left us quite far off the timing sheets. We know we've got a lot of work to do tonight to pick up the performance. I do believe we can make improvements, though. We have had similar Fridays this season and come back stronger on Saturday. We will see tomorrow if we have done so again. And as we know, George Russell looking the better of the two Mercedes drivers, just as he looked at Singapore, I think, until that last part of the race. And here's the but, Hamilton seems to go a lot better in the races compared to George, and seems to be a lot better at managing his tyres. But in terms of managing his tyres, it could be a bit of an issue here for Hamilton if those tyres are overheating, because normally, especially last year, that Mercedes was good, wasn't it, at doing his tyres. So the last story here is the FIA. This is from motorsport.com by Adam Cooper. Admits Verstappen should have had a penalty pretty much in Singapore. So the FIA has admitted to Formula 1 teams that the controversial decision to give a reprimand to Max Verstappen for an impeding incident in Singapore qualifying was a mistake. Yes, and it was confirmed that the Dutchman should have received the standard 3-place grid penalty for one of his 2 impeding offences, which would have dropped him from 11th to 14th. Now, significantly, the FIA promised that Verstappen's decision will not be used as a precedent and will in fact be erased on that database. As we know, he was the subject of 3 impeding investigations. Yuki Tsunoda, Logan Sargent and a third for waiting about 14-ish seconds at the end of the pit lane. Now, in the immediate aftermath of qualifying, where I think everyone expected at least 1 grid penalty in the way he blocked Tsunoda. Now, asked about motorsport.com, the Dutchman said, yeah, that was not good. I didn't see him because I was on the radio talking about what was the problem. And then I didn't get a call up until he was basically behind me. It basically sums up my qualifying. It was just a super hectic and messy. And he said in the event, he escaped the sanction for the Sargent incident and received reprimands for both the pit lane incident and holding up Tsunoda, and the team were fined €5,000. So this subject came up in the team managers meeting in Suzuka, And the steward, Matteo Perini, who served in Singapore and is providing continuity in Japan, admitted that on review, the on-track reprimand decision handed Verstappen should have been a grid penalty. So, I mean, there we go. It's lucky that Verstappen's already pretty much won both, the championship, and Red Bull won that. You imagine, though, I mean, he did finish 5th in the Singapore Grand Prix. You imagine if the championship was a bit closer, like in 2021, that would have been a much bigger decision, controversy, tinfoil hats, everything would have been thrown. But there we go. But this has been the Hot Lap. Join us again when we review the qualifying session for the Japanese Grand Prix. Like and subscribe if you can. That will be fantastic. I'll speak to you next time.